Are you looking for a room darkening solution for your circle top window? This is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com, and I'm going to share with you my idea for covering a circle top window and making it a true room darkening solution. At the store, you can purchase these little paper shades, folds like a fan, looks really cute on top of your circle top window. But the problem is that most of them come in just this light filtering fabric. They're about $20 each, and I don't really think it's a great solution for controlling light. Now you can also purchase a room darkening version of this, which is a darker color paper, and it's about $10 more. So for a $30 investment, I think I can come up with something much better to control light and that'll look actually more custom than this little thing. So what do you need? You need a few items. You need some mat board. Now the mat board that I have is black on one side and it is white on the other. I also have some tracing paper, pair of scissors, some masking tape, an X-Acto knife, a cutting surface, and some scrap fabric. Now my scrap fabric, the thinner the better. It can be patterned, it can have any kind of design on it you'd like that matches the decor in your room. So let's get started by going over to the window and getting everything measured out. Now I know these shots are really hard to see when I'm standing in front of a window, but all you have to do here is you have to take out your grates and set those aside. Take your tracing paper, and your tracing paper is actually going to sit directly on the window. And I'm just going to tape this in place temporarily just so I can get a nice outline. Now it's taped top and bottom, and I'm taking a pencil and I'm running the pencil all along the edges of the window. Now that I have the template, I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it directly in half, lining up the bottom edge. And what I'm seeing here is that I have a small section on one of the halves that is about 1/8 of an inch off. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'll open it back out and I'll double check it against the grate. So I can line up the grate along the center line and just see if that's really the case. And I'm seeing that it is. So when I trace this out, I'm going to do it 1/2 at a time. And when I trace it out, I'm going to do it on the white side of the board. Now, if you've ever noticed on any housing projects out there, anytime anybody does like a dormer window way up high, like in an attic level where there really isn't an attic, what they do is they get a UV protectant black surface to actually mimic a window. And so that really is like what it takes to actually make this window look like it's a real window. It needs to be black. So black is going to face to the outside and the white side is going to face in. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to line this up nice and perfectly along the factory edge and then trace everything out on the white side of the board. It's all traced, and what I'm doing here, I'm just removing the tracing paper and actually just kind of filling in here and there along where I had the tape. I have my cutting surface that I'm putting underneath the mat board, and I have an X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to follow to the inside of the mark that I just made. The trick here is to keep your eye one step ahead of where you're going, and what your brain sees, your hand will follow. So it's a nice, beautiful, continuous curve. You may have to go over it a couple of times to get all the way through that mat board, but it'll be a nice, beautiful cut. And so see how that's coming out? It's beautiful. This is the template. I'm going to have this facing the street, so I'm putting this side face down on my surface. And here's my secret weapon. So I have some spray adhesive in a can, and this is really great because it's just going to give a nice light adhesive to the fabric that I'm going to be putting on top of this and holding it nicely in place over time. So it's just a really light coat, and just remember, I have all my windows open. If you don't have a well-ventilated space, take this part of the project outside. You really need a well-ventilated space. So here goes. Let's just go ahead and spray it. So this has been drying for about 15 seconds, and I just have my fabric, which is nicely pressed. I'm going to lay it directly over the top, making sure that I line up the very center of my fabric with the center of the arch. And then at this point, I can take this roller, which is usually used for decoupage, and I'm just going to roll this out so that it's nice and neat over the whole top of the circle top, and just get it nicely adhered. This is going to stay really well in place over the course of many years. So just like that. Get as close as you can. Well, the window on your right is completely finished, and the window on your left needs to be finished. So let me show you how I went about putting that piece in place and then how I finish it off with some beautiful trim. Now that the grate is off, you can see how easily this piece just pops into place. There are little tabs that keep that grate in place, so it's really nice because you can just pop this piece in behind it and hold it in place while you're working on it. So this is the way that it looks when you pop it in place, and you can kind of see here, there's a little bit of light seeping in all along the edges, so we're going to take care of that. And here's the grate. It's going to go right back in place, right on top of those tabs that it came off of. And the reason why we kept our fabric nice and thin is so that this could go right back in place and hold everything nice and tight to the window. And it really isn't a true blackout treatment at this point, so we're going to add a little bit of trim all the way along the edges. What I have, some decorative trim that's double-sided. It's going to blend seamlessly with the fabric, so you won't even really be able to detect it's there. It's just going to add a little bit of decorative feature all the way along the edge and make this a true blackout treatment. So this is what we're working on, and this is going to be run all the way around the edge. So I can kind of push this in place, and I'm using today a hot glue gun. Now, hot glue gun is a necessity because if you don't use a hot glue gun and you use a low temperature glue gun, you may affect the adhesion. This is an area that's going to get a lot of heat, and so the heat is something that might affect the adhesion of this trim. And so we want to make this as sticky as possible over the course of time, and a high temperature glue gun is really the ideal thing to use. So I'm just pressing this in place with my fingers and making sure that I'm getting it nice and tight up against that wooden trim to block out any light that might be coming through there. Now you can go ahead and kind of pull off any little pieces or strings that you have hanging as you go along, and it's going to work out just wonderfully. When you come to the bottom corner, you're just going to run a bead all the way across the bottom length, and you're going to start in the corner and move your glue gun along. So this is going to go, you're going to take your piece and you're going to make a little 45-degree angle right into that corner. Just going to fold it right up. So that's going to look nice and professional right into the corner. Take this, make sure that you've got it a little bit longer so it can kind of tuck in behind that little piece of grate material. Finish it off with some more glue all the way across. Tuck in the end. It's just beautiful. Really finishes it off well. Well, there you have it. I've come up with a way to make these circle top windows completely light blocking and while maintaining the integrity of the architectural feature. And you know what? It's not hiding any of the grates. It's really keeping that beautiful circle top window that everybody loves to see. It's the reason why they were purchased in the first place. Why cover them up with a little fan like this that everybody has that doesn't solve the problem with light? And you know what? I think it looks even better. You can control the level of formality that you need in any room in your home with this type of treatment. So I hope you could see it's an easy, quick, inexpensive fix. You know what? It's probably just as expensive as this little piece of paper was. So this is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com. Please, if you like this project, like, share, subscribe, and follow, and I will keep bringing you these wonderful projects in the future.